Welcome to the Enlighten Up podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Enlighten Up podcast. Today I'm going to introduce you to Ken Lloyd, an internationally recognized energy architect, transformational healer, and spiritual activator whose work bridges science, spirit, and multidimensional energy. He's a soul-infused walk-in, and he embodies higher frequencies that facilitate profound transformation. Already checking all my favorite boxes. Formerly a self-taught software engineer who built global technology companies, Ken's extraordinary energetic awakening redirected his focus to exploring the mechanics of consciousness. Applying systems design to energy, he identifies distortions, rewrites patterns, and restores coherence to the human field. And through his global community, Ken's Divine Collective, and his connection to the Library of Creation, he channels healing frequencies and activation codes that realign body, mind, and spirit. His sessions inspire emotional freedom, physical renewal, and spiritual awakening, guiding others toward harmony, clarity, and higher consciousness. Ken, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. I'm sitting here, my whole entire body is vibrating like a tuning fork. So I'm excited. I'm ready to go, ready to share my story and, well, give everyone a little taste of what it feels like to be me, I suppose.
Yeah, and so you vibrating like a tuning fork, is that your everyday?
It is, and be honest with you, it gets a little frustrating because it actually makes it difficult to sleep. And this vibration's been going on for 5 years now. The team will get into that. Continues to adjust the structure of my vessel to hold these high frequencies as they come through. But it makes it difficult for me to sit here sometimes. But yes.
So how has it been, before we jump into your story, which is going to be, I know, very fascinating, um, working with these higher frequencies, especially when you get into a meditation and you're very focused, have you encountered any energies that are or frequencies that are so strong and so big that it almost feels like I've had this feeling, so I'm just, that's why I'm asking. And it's only been recently where I started to really tap into what feels like my absolute highest potential future self of what like I dream of and all of that. That's even bigger than what I even recognized before I even went into the meditation. And I feel like all of this pressure almost to the point was actually hurting my hands, how much
Mhm.
energy was coming through. Is that something that you encounter or what?
Well, imagine that being in your body all the
Okay.
time. That is literally me. So my higher self stepped into my physical structure back on 12/12/23, and that was an amazing experience, and we'll get into all that. But when that happened, it was me sitting in a chair. I got a little message to go meditate, so I sat down, and for 15 minutes, I couldn't itch or twitch. I was literally locked in position as it came down to the crown. And not only that, but I began asking, what's going on? And I get this funny little message. They says, we're a little busy right now. We'll get with you in a moment. And as that happened, they turned off my ability to process thought. So when we drop into meditation, what is the goal often for folks, right? To drop into that just quiet zone. Well, that's happened to me. I couldn't itch, I couldn't twitch, I couldn't think while the energy literally filled the body and the higher self stepped into the physical structure. So it's me all the time.
Okay, because it feels almost like a very like I don't want to say it's painful in the way that I think people would identify with pain, but it does hurt a little bit in more of an expansion. Like it just feels like you're expand, everything just wants to expand so big. So that's really interesting. Well, let's jump into this because did your awakening story then begin in 2023?
No, not a bit. So my background, as we mentioned briefly in the bio, is cybersecurity. So I'm a self-taught cybersecurity engineer. In fact, I'm one of the original inventors of antivirus and anti-spyware.
Okay.
And yeah, right. So I've built three companies. I sold my first company, the product to Earthlink, the second one to a cyber intelligence firm, the third one to Silicon Valley. This is just me, always creating things. So imagine me very, very logical. So
And
my
were you always logical even as a
Yes,
kid?
always, always. I had no religion. I
Okay.
had no spirituality. I had no idea what any of this was
So not
at
even a
all.
book read that was like, oh, maybe.
I mean, I think I went to a psychic once at the fair,
Okay.
right?
All
Just,
right.
but
Okay.
yeah,
Fair
none of that,
enough.
right? And then
Yep.
in 2018, I was selling the third company. It was incredibly stressful. I had a lot of tension with the business partner. Things weren't going the way I thought it was, and I was full of anger. Not only that, but I was on the highest prescribed dosage of ADHD medicine. I wasn't sleeping. My team was global. This was my everyday. So I learned the word trigger later on, but my partner had triggered me, and I went to calm down. So I lay down in bed, and immediately my stomach arched up in the air, like upside down letter U. And I always tell people, every yoga instructor would be so proud of me, right? So I'm locked in position, electrified, and I feel this heat coming out of my stomach, this swirling, this energy, this heat, and then poof, something left my body. Now, I passed out, woke up the next day, peaceful. The anger was gone. And it took me a year and a half to figure out what actually took place that day. But imagine the idea of having a near-death experience. We hear the stories, right? The tunnel opens, they go through, and they have an epiphany, they have a conversation, a life review. They have these amazing things that happen. And often people come back healed, right?
Hmm.
At the time, I had a pituitary brain tumor, right? That was caused by stress. It was later biopsied as a cortisol tumor wrapped in a cortisol cyst. So,
Okay.
right. It's about as stressful as it can get. So imagine the idea of the tunnel opening, but I didn't go over. I had a soul walk in to my field. No, I didn't know any of this happened. But I woke up the next day, and the first thing I did was hop on the internet to figure out what happened to me. And that began the passion. And this is where I began learning about the energy fields. You know, what is an aura? What is our chakras? You know, what is remote viewing? What is a psychic? So on and so forth. Trying to, and as fast as I could, trying to figure out what had taken place and why was I even looking for this stuff?
Mm.
Well, that soul that came in, and I want people to understand it wasn't a full soul. Think of it as a fraction or an aspect of it. Well, imagine it being behind you saying, hey, Google this. Hey, go to QHHT. Hey, go see a psychic. And without words, but it was inside of you that just kind of pushed you forward.
Did it
So
have a little bit of a different voice? Is that how you knew? Like,
none,
how did
no
you
voice, no
know it
nothing.
wasn't you? Like, what
Right?
was it specifically?
It was me. I didn't, and that's the thing. Imagine something behind. Imagine having that passion inside of you, right, to go, pursue information or knowledge or whatever. Well, that was the walk-in, was coming up as that passion. There wasn't any words. There wasn't any. I didn't know why I was doing it, other than fascination, right?
Got you.
Trying to. Right. So I read about detoxing. So, got off the medicines, right? Began detoxing. Did 6 months of the heavy metal detox, had all the metal in my mouth removed. I had no idea why I was doing these things, right? But that's what happened. I read a book once on energy healing. They had little lessons in there. I was doing energy healing on people. Now, it was fractional. It was just enough for people to give me enough awareness that something was changing in them. And I was, respectfully calling, right, friends and family just showing up to do these things. I got Reiki certified. That's the only modality I've ever done, by the way. Nothing I do is a modality. So as I did this, more and more of this information started coming through. And I began doing it to a point where Spirit would start putting people in front of me with the same problems. And they would show me how to work on the shoulders. They would do this for 3 or 4 weeks, and then backs, and then brains, and then so on and so forth. Well, what I didn't understand was Spirit was showing me how to work with the energies into the human vessel. So much more has happened since that day in 2018. So just to kind of fast forward here, in April 1st, 2023, so 5 years later, right, I'm actually doing healing work now. I had quit my 6-figure job and doing this full time. And I have a session done on me, and 13 more came into my field. So now I'm at 13.
So you had one for
I had
5
one,
years and then 13 more.
13 more.
Okay.
Right? Now, I'm still not communicating with them, right? I'm still not having these conversations, daily conversations, but the healing I'm doing is spectacular. And I'd like to say for the audience, I say the healing I'm doing, we know it's not me.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So I just want to make sure that people don't think I'm doing it. They're doing it. So they're in my field. Healing amplified drastically after that. And that was April 1st, 2023. And then, as I mentioned, 12/12, the same year, I had the higher self step into the body. Now, I have had and do still have an amazing life. Married for 17 years, beautiful daughter. And you can imagine being an entrepreneur, selling companies to Silicon Valley, so on and so forth. Life was great. So December 12th, this happened to me, where the higher self stepped in. And January 6th, I was asking for a divorce. Of a 17 marriage to an amazing woman, amazing life. And I sold everything I owned. All the cars, the houses, the belongings. And I left for Mexico by March with 2 suitcases. Now, when I went to Mexico, 9 more came in. So I had 22 in my field.
It's becoming a real party.
It is becoming a party. It was pretty incredible. And, it wasn't, they still weren't talking to me. And every healer needs a healer. Every psychic needs a psychic. Mm-hmm. So I placed people around me to help me understand what was happening to me. Mm. Because for me, everything was really quiet. It's not like I was getting downloads of, hey, this is happening next and this is happening next. So in Mexico, not only did 9 more come in March, I think it was April that actually came into 2024, so a little over a year and a half ago. But in July, I get the push from my team to do Cambo and Bufo in Tulum. Now, I don't like plant medicines. Love them for most folks. Me, I'm not a plant medicine guy. But I do it, and I do the Cambo, which is the frog medicine, mm-hmm. which they burn the things in your side, and it creates this purging. It opens up the cells of your body. 2 hours later, I'm doing the Bufo. 25-minute experience. Can't even begin to tell you how intense that was. But what happened here is it's also known as the ego death. And that's what happened. So 10 minutes into it, don't know where I went for 10 minutes. I start coming out of it, and I see my ego being walked out by 2 of, the soul aspects. He was pissed. He was not happy. I mean, he was really not happy. But as I'm coming through in the tent in Tulum, I see all 22 of those soul aspects in the tent. And then I see the one to the right as solid as human form. I open my eyes, same thing. I close them. I'm like, what's going on here? And he gives me 2 messages. He says, your 24th chromosome's turned on now. Okay, I had to read about that. Then he says, everything you've done so far is nothing but a sniff of the aroma of what's about to come. Okay, things have shifted. What happened that day is those 22 merged into my physical vessel. As the cells of the body were opened and the ego was stepped out, they moved into the body. And everything changed after that. The healing became pretty phenomenal. It was from incredible to phenomenal to almost unbelievable. And this was for thousands of people. I was already doing a lot of healings, but the events I was doing, I'd have several hundred people at my events, and the responses and the shifts that were in these people were mind-blowing, because for me, I show up and I'll deliver light language, right? I'm not a guy that will tell you process. I will not tell you try this meditation or try that meditation. I don't connect to an ET species. They're kind of in me, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. So everything I do is inside the body. I don't connect anywhere. And I'm not designed for information, so I can't tell you that this is the best nutrition or this is the best, again, process. But what I can do is shift your energy almost instantaneously. So that happened in July. Fast forward, July of last year. So in January of this year, I moved to Colorado. I'm now a digital nomad.
Wait, are you in my state?
I was.
Oh,
I
okay.
was. I was in Lakewood
Oh my
for a
God, that's
little
where
bit.
I was living.
I was in Lakewood from January to March, and then I went to Frisco.
Okay, yeah, I was like right near Sloan's Lake.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I wake up in January, I think it was in February, I wake up and I can't move my body. I can't animate it. So imagine our bodies, our chakras, imagine them connected to a puppet string, and they're cut, right? Not only that, I have no emotion, void of emotion. It's a very, very different experience to not have any emotion, and you're not sad, you're not happy, you're like, where'd they go? I woke up in the middle of them swapping out my energy systems. So the amount of energy in the physical vessel had reached a point where the energy systems couldn't sustain it anymore. And I like to say it's like swapping it out from a 110 voltage to a 240, going to the dryer voltage. And that's what they did. And then they shifted me again. So right after that, they then merged me with an omni-consciousness stream of divine intelligence. Simply meaning that there is this divine stream that is embedded inside of me. I am merged. Ken is now merged with this intelligence stream. This doesn't mean I show up with intelligence. This simply means that I have access to what people would call all the codes. Right? All the codes to shift. I'm an activator of activators, right? A healer of healers, if you will. But everyone needs a little something different, and now I'm connected to that. And then by June, another shift had taken place where someone who I didn't know the name of, I had to look at it, was called the Great Divine Director. An aspect of him then stepped into the physical form as well. And he woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He says, I'm here. I'm like, who are you? He's like, you know who I am, because now they're talking to me at that point. And it's one voice. I'm an embodied collective. So they don't, with all the different beings in me, the aspects again, they don't segregate or differentiate. It's one voice. And a collective is always one voice. So he shows up and he says, I'm here. He says, I want to let you know I'm moving your furniture around to make room for my stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're changing the structure of the brain to, again, allow for more of these frequencies to come in. So my life's been a very, very interesting journey, to say the least. Now, I never asked for any of these things, right? I went from what's called a soul braid, they're in your field, to a soul infusion where Ken is now merged with them. So I'm going to pause and we'll get into more. Hopefully that stimulated some questions for you.
Just a couple.
Just a few, yeah.
Okay, first one. What kind of brain restructuring were they doing?
They're making way for information to come in. So think of the idea that these shifts and changes inside of him allow for more information to come in. It's not channeled information, it's codes. It takes a human to activate a human, but let's put that codes inside of the brain, inside of the body, rather than having to channel them. So this is how it works for me. The channel happens instantly.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's
I gathered that.
little different, right? So
I
yeah,
was
they'll
not
come in.
prepared for that. I just want the audience to know. But, in my world, this is very normal. So,
Yeah.
okay, so let me ask this then. When shifting like codes and things around, what I've seen in my plant medicine journeys, I'm a big fan of mushrooms specifically. Done ayahuasca in Tulum once. But specifically with the mushrooms, what I see is I'll start to see all of these different sigils and codes, and they'll be glowing different colors. Sometimes they'll be on my skin. Um, and all of a sudden my hands start moving, and to me it's light language with the hands,
Mhm.
and I'm holding different mudras as I shift things around, move around my field. So I'm curious, is it anything like that, or is it something completely different?
It's completely different for me. It's actually void. So when I show up to do a one-on-one session, right, even when I'm doing the light language, the channeling, the psychic information, which I don't show up to be a psychic, it just kind of comes through. I show up to literally shift the energy fields. They'll provide the information right away, but they never provide me the story because they don't want to provide the story to the person either. They don't want me to get hung up on what's taking place.
Okay.
When I'm in a group, right, absolutely no visuals, none of those things. I'm literally tapped out as the team steps forward.
So they're doing all the work.
Mhm.
You are trusting that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing without really knowing exactly what they're doing. Is that correct?
Correct. So the kind of the way it works is that you have a team, you have a lot of teams. Those teams want you to have codes, whether it be
Hmm.
activations, healing, knowledge, awareness, shifts in your life, whatever these are. It takes a human to work on a human. So your team works through the divine stream of consciousness, which flows through my hollow bone.
Hmm.
Now, with a hollow bone, you, the person delivering, doesn't have the ability to intercept, to interfere, to be aware of any of those things, right? This allows it to flow cleanly through with no interception or interference, the
Yes.
hollow bone. To do that, I don't get information.
Hmm.
Now, even though you're showing up to say,
Hence why the ego's gone.
hence by the ego, yeah, the ego's kind of still there. They just moved him out, right?
Sure.
But
No, I get that. Hmm.
yeah. I mean, they keep them in check. But when your team has the opportunity to deliver something to you, they're going to pack those codes like a compressed file.
Hmm.
So even though you're in front of me for a few seconds, you're getting months or years of codes at once. And as you're ready,
They
as
slowly
you go through
unzip.
your journey, they will unzip.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating to me is I could have one person in front of me or 1,000 people in front of me. It's the same codes are coming through, but everybody is getting something absolutely different.
Oh, I
They're getting
totally
their
get that.
codes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
That is
logic part of me is trying to figure that out still.
Well, so the same things happened when I was at my last retreat hosting, and I was guiding ceremony while people were in their own mushroom journeys. And even though I was doing energy work for the whole room, it impacted each one exactly how they needed for their specific journey. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So the team tells me there's thousands of different light languages come through.
Hmm.
Now, again, every psychic needs a psychic, right? So I had someone read
Can
me
you
that.
wait, can you explain that? Because there are people who are like, well, you're psychic, don't you just know? So this is something that people don't understand. So could you maybe just
Oh,
enlighten
sure.
us on this?
I'll put it into a kind of a 3D business sense as well. When I ran my businesses, if I wanted to get a fact or a truth, I would ask three people the same question. Very separate people, didn't know each other, and if I received the same information back, I would consider that a validated truth. Okay? So when we're psychic and we start looking at ourselves, we have a tendency to want to run in one direction or another direction, right? We may get a piece of information from our team, but what we think it is grandiose, or we downplay it.
Hmm.
But often when spirit talks to us, it doesn't matter what they say because it really, the way we infer it is completely different how it usually shows up. So every psychic needs a psychic. Help me understand what's going on and let me find a psychic that's able to reach into me, my energy field deep enough to get what I'm looking for. So every
Yeah.
psychic needs a psychic. Now, the other part of that phrase is every healer needs a healer. I can't heal myself. Nothing I do has my codes in it. Now, could you imagine with me having my own codes, I would probably do crazy things to my own body. So I have to go to certain people in order to work on me. So every healer needs a healer. Now,
Hmm.
we can do our typical work, our
Yeah.
shadow work, and our journeys, if you will. But the shifting of the energetic fields that I do, I can't actually work on myself.
Hmm.
So back in February, I went to one of these trusted folks. I said, "What's going on here?" So I had them tap in and tell me who, at that time, this was before the real merge, who was in me. And she comes back and she says, "You have 16 ascended masters." Now, these are aspects, right? So imagine each one of them having a particular duty or chore or job in this lifetime with me. There were 15 archangels and 10 Christed ETs. That was at that time. Now, what is a Christed ET?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I had to figure that out as well. So imagine every race has their own divine lineage, right? Their own pure DNA before they begin to do their own genetic shifting and testing and all these different experiences every ET race wants to have. In fact, you have the reptilians have a white reptilian, which is their pure piece. So they are their version of ascended masters. And what these Christed ETs do is we get codes from wherever we're getting them from. Quite often we also get backdoors, hooks, fine print in the contracts, right? Thank you, Mr. Activator, who's genuinely true and real and doing what they're doing, but they're connecting to something out there that also is giving you more than you bargained for. Doesn't mean it's bad, just more than you bargained for. Mm-hmm. So what happens with these Christed ETs, they will come in, and if you have mantis, lineage or DNA, right, they will make sure that your mantis DNA is of that divine lineage, if that's your choosing. So they come in to make sure all those back doors, hooks, and contracts are removed, and you only get those pure codes. So, yes, it's quite interesting when they finally explained it to me.
So a lot of it is more about a removal in many cases. Like not all of it, but in part of it is about removing.
Yeah, so as you talk, they talk to me. It's like it's an adjustment.
Okay.
Right. It's not so much removing. They're making sure that you have the opportunity to be your truest, fullest potential without having baggage, so to speak.
Okay. And now I know that you don't really get any information, so this might be just a very stupid question, but have you ever known any contract or fine print or anything, even in your own system, that may have been removed or from anyone else?
I've had attempted hijacks before. I've had
On
attempted
you?
hijacks on me, yes. Right. And then they've had to come in and remove those hijacks. So I don't allow anybody to work on me.
Okay, so explain the hijack a little bit more then.
So when I had the 13 come in back in April 1st, 2023, the practitioner, who was just another practitioner, right? You wouldn't think of these things. It could have been anybody that day. It was going to happen regardless. That person had entities in them. Well, that entity hijacked the stream and jumped into the body.
Okay.
And my team turned off all of my gifts for 10 days. Gone. Now, that was a little bit of a panic attack.
Now, did you know why for those 10 days, why they were gone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. I was able to tap in. And again, every psychic needs a psychic. I'm phoning my friends up. What's going on? Why is there a shift? Right? Mm-hmm. So when that happens, they had to remove them. So that was an extreme case, right? Probably the only time that's happened. But yes, we all get a little, we don't all get a little bit, but often when we get activations, there's always a little something extra. But that had happened to me once. So now we don't get activations from anybody. And this allows me to ensure that when I show up to my audience, that they're getting that pure stream without any additional baggage.
Mm-hmm. Makes total sense. So let's go way back to the beginning then, that you mentioned the 24 chromosome strand. So can you explain the significance of that to my audience and what that is allowing you to do now?
So we all have 24. We actually have more, but we have 24 strands, right? 23 is on the 24th. The 24th is the new human. Right, the evolutionary human. This is the gateway to the gifts of the human that have been hidden, suppressed, unavailable, that is now turning on to many, many people. Okay, so I'm here to show people what the human's capable of. Now, please, not just me, but I'm sure there's thousands and thousands of us out there that are doing this, but I'm here to show the human what the human's going to become and to turn on those gifts in the human. To do that, the 24th chromosome need to be activated. Now, that's about as far as I get because I don't Google anything. They've actually turned off my desire to ask questions.
But
even
I
of
can
them.
ask questions.
But you can ask questions, which is interesting. I can have questions asked to me, but I don't sit there and ponder the universe.
Hmm. So I would like to ask your team the deeper significance of the 24th chromosome and who is it activating within primarily right now?
Nishika Alkalia, the 24th chromosome was always there. It's always been there. It was there in the days of Atlantis. It was turned off after the fall of Atlantis, if you will, to give the human the ability to reset. And now it's time to turn it back on now that the lessons have been learned and humans understand the path that they should not take again. We'll simply say they should not take again in the idea of the fall. The 24th chromosome is the ability for the human to step in to their own divine being, to turn on the divine essence inside of them, to reach deep, deep, deep into everything that they are. Without the 24th chromosome, it's just practice. It's just practice of who you're going to become. 24th chromosome turns on, you are who you're going to become. Does that
Thank
make
you.
any sense to you?
Uh,
Hope that
Pardon?
makes sense, because I'm already forgetting what I said.
That's okay. You're gonna. I was gonna say you can rewatch it, but you probably
Yeah.
won't because you're
Yeah.
not. Yeah. So thank you for that. So if it's oh, I just lost my thought for a second. Hold on.
This is how I
Oh
feel.
no, I have it. I have it. So what might be typical, maybe it's not typical, signs or symptoms of the 24th chromosome being activated for that full potential? Like what would a human start experiencing that they haven't experienced before?
Their perception of reality will shift. Their gifts will be turned on. When we say their gifts will be turned on, this is more than the idea of telepathy. This is the idea of movement of objects. This is the ability for some to levitate. This is the ability for some to connect with others in a way that has not previously been possible, just like he does in the idea of shifting the energy fields. This gives them access to the realities that were turned off before. So, you're going to
Mm.
begin seeing a lot of what they say to me. We got all these superhero movies out there, right? I
Hmm.
don't want to go down that whole
Hmm.
thing, but those ideas are just a fragment of what's coming for the human, right? And we're going to start seeing them show up in the population. And they tell me there's 100 monkey effect. So as more people do these amazing things, it turns on our own awareness to allow ourselves to step into our own full potential, because now we can see it happening over and over and over and over. And telepathy is just the beginning. And they don't channel all these things that are going to take place, but they do use the idea of levitation as a common thing that will take place here in the near future.
Yeah. And so at this current moment in time here on Earth, percentage wise, how many people have activated their 24th chromosome?
They're saying 0.05.
We got a ways to go. But a
We do,
0.05
but
of 8 billion isn't too bad.
yeah, but there's a ripple effect as well.
Hmm.
That's right. Again, so as one person gets turned on, they turn on others and turn on others and turn on others. So
Okay, let's talk about that then, because I think that's really important. And I think that's beyond, I think it's bigger than what people give credit to, in the sense that even I'm guilty of this, of believing there's something I need to do for someone as opposed to just being myself and
Mhm.
care and just carrying my field and, you know, just existing. Um, how does that interact with someone else's field to turn on their 24th chromosome?
They say that it's autonomous, it's behind the scenes. So it's not like you have to go out and get the codes
No, yeah.
to deliver that, right? It's
Hmm.
happening behind the scenes. And what they're saying is those that are ready for the 24th chromosome, one, haven't been exposed to the codes just yet. So even though we've done the work, and doing the work's an important piece. My event that took place in 2018 wasn't a near death, it was a massive trauma release. All the trauma in my life was pulled out at once in order to make room for that walk in.
Mm.
I call it a cheat code. I kind of cheated a little bit. Now, I still had work to do. Where most of us are showing up to do the shadow work, right? To remove all those things that are keeping our vibration low. And as our vibration comes up, we're then ready. And it's just an opportunity for someone to be in front of you to give those codes to begin the activation process.
Okay. Fascinating. So when it comes to the work that you do, what are some of the results that people have experienced? Because just off the air, you really quickly just let me know that you do like people receive spontaneous healing.
Hmm.
So what are some of and you're watching kind of from the background. So are you witnessing any shifts in the person or like
Every
what?
call.
Yeah.
Every call. And so for I'm not a doctor, guys, just so you guys know, not a
Hmm.
medical, none of that. I have no real understanding of the human body. And I intentionally show up and respectfully to use the word ignorant of the human body. Because if I knew how the body worked, I would try to get in there and work the human body. So I see shifts every time. Pain goes away instantly. Range of motion comes back. Posture returns. Hips are fixed. The length of the hips change, as an example. If I had tumors disappear 2 days later off an MRI that were inoperable, cancer is gone. And again, I'm not trying to build myself up, but it's to the point now where if something doesn't happen on the call, I begin to then question why. So if it doesn't happen in the first 5 or 10 minutes, I'm able to dive in deeper to find out what's preventing them from receiving. Perhaps it's the ego that's blocking them, so I'll heal the ego. I'll actually walk the ego out temporarily to allow the healing to come in. The other times people can't receive is because they do have entities. I call them the yuckies, by the way.
Okay.
Entities is a word, I call entity simply an energy with a consciousness. Okay? That's
Hmm.
it. But the yuckies are the things that we read about that really destroy our lives in some aspects. And my
Hmm.
team doesn't fight the yuckies. You'll need to go to a specialist to deal with whatever's going on with that. They're here to shift you, to shift your energetic field, right? But I see it every call. And
Mm.
if I don't see it, then I begin questioning it. It's to that point. Yeah, it's
Okay, so hold on a second. Because it's just my brain. So when you were attempted hijack, how did the entity, was it someone else helped remove it for you or?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it took almost 5 weeks to get it out of the body.
Oh. So
Yes.
why were your gifts only turned off for 10 days then?
Because that's all that it was impacting the ckable. The energy of that entity was turned off in the impact. Think of it as a firewall, to use a computer term. Once they separated the entity from the ability to intercept the energy, it was then dealt with to move it out of the body so a reinfection wouldn't occur.
I see. That makes
I'd never
total
been asked
sense.
that question before. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I never got the answer. I don't ask the questions. Yeah.
That's what I like to do here. So,
Yeah.
okay, so let's get into the Library of Creation. Is that kind of what people call the Akashic Records?
No, not
Oh,
necessarily. So
enlighten me.
yeah, this kind of explains this a little bit. As the human evolves or
Mhm.
re-evolves, depending on what you subscribe to, right? We are raising the collective, and the collective itself is now getting access to more tools. The library of creation is access to the next tool. So when you work with me, and we just mentioned that the shifts can happen instantaneously, right? In fact, I expect them to a degree. The library of creation is a little more gentle, and it is simple. So because I have the KISS principle, keep it simple, silly, because there's a lot of humor in what I do,
Hmm.
the library is also designed like that. So as you receive the codes of the library, the key to the library creation, it holds everything. All your lives, all your emotions, all your thoughts. It holds all the DNA, all the activations of everything that's ever existed. This is where the ETs go to get their knowledge for their next DNA mutation that they want to try. Library has everything. The Akashic has a sample of just particular information, if you will. When you go into the library, the way I've set this up is you'll go into these different rooms, right? For instance, you'll go into the room of your trauma, right? Now, if I was to tell you to show up and tell me about your trauma, one, we're going to forget a lot of it. We're not going to remember a lot of it, and we certainly don't want to relive it. So in this room, you go in there and you will ask the library, please show me an object that represents the trauma, the childhood trauma, associated with the pain in my shoulder, as an example. And an object will show up, and you're able to send that object gratitude and send it away. And often that pain will disappear. So what's happening here is your upper self, which is what I call the 90% outside of us,
Hmm.
knows what you need. The 10% of us doesn't know how to do it. The library has the codes. So your team will show you a visualization that you interact with. That visualization pulls those codes down into your field. It's a way for you to do the work without having to work with me. Now, this goes for your fears, this goes for your karma, this goes for your past lives, your ancestors. The rooms go on and on and on. You can actually go into the library and look at your past lives if you want to see that video. And I had done that with a few groups, and none of them wanted to go back.
Oh,
Show
yeah.
me the past life, and so there's a viewing room of your past lives. When you sit in the theater, you can see all these TVs up there.
Mm-hmm.
Show me all the past lives, again, I pick on shoulders, that are responsible for the pain in my shoulder. And the TVs will turn on. But you ask the TVs to show up blurred and out of focus. Why? We don't want the story.
Mm.
But in one of these trainings I did, I'm like, guys, let's have a little experiment. Have them show up the TVs without it blurred and out of focus. And then I want you to jump into the TV. And they did that. And that was not a pleasant experience because they were able to witness everything that was happening. The room of karma, the room of the energy interference, all of it.
Hold on a second. What was the reasoning behind getting them to jump inside the TV? What for the experiment?
The experiment was to see if you're able to actually relive those past lives as an observer effect.
Oh, okay.
It
So
was
almost like watching a movie and feeling like it's
correct.
actually happening to you.
Right. Well, it was
Okay.
happening to you.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But there's the room of karma, your galactic karma, all of these things, your diluted karma. You're able to go there and clean that karma that you're serving in real time, right?
What's diluted karma?
Diluted karma is karma that keeps your gifts from showing up.
Really?
Yeah, see, that
How is
exact
that different
question.
from regular karma?
So this is more of a spiritual thing. Now, I didn't know it either, right? But I'm looking one day and I am Googling different types of karma, galactic karma, past life karma. So in one of my groups, I did an experiment. I'm like, guys, I don't really know what this word is, but I want you to let me know if it shows up different. And sure enough, the whole room shifted and changed for everybody. They're all individuals where they were clearing out that karma that was impacting their ability to connect higher and higher and higher, or their gifts turning on. Now, again, I don't know how it showed up in their lives later. I don't do follow-up work necessarily.
Hmm.
But there's the room of trapped emotions. You're able to pull those trapped emotions off in the body that are, as we know, a lot of our disease or pain is caused from those trapped emotions. So all these different rooms allow you to shift your energy field in real time.
It's almost like a spiritual funhouse.
Yeah, right? I mean, you could spend all sorts of time in there.
Hmm.
So the reason this is showing up now is the way the team tells me is like, there's a 30-year window right now of the human evolving. It's time. Like we are witnessing the evolution of the
Did you say
human
a 30-year window?
for
Okay.
humans to evolve to this next version, right? We're
Okay.
like 3 years into it's what they tell me.
Okay.
And so Spirit is showing up with new tools to rapidly accelerate the work that we do individually. The
Hmm.
library is one of those tools, and I'm sure there's many other tools that are being provided by other people. There's new Reiki levels, if you will, that are being new codes coming down for people. So this is just what it is. Now, did an event in October in Orlando, and a new room came in. It was a room of activations.
Hmm.
So in this room, there's sacred geometry on the floor moving around, and then there's crystals, of course. But all of these activations that we look for, and one of the examples we used was the Lionsgate 88 portal. We're all waiting for 88 in order to get those codes, right?
Hmm.
You don't have to wait. The only reason we have to wait today is because there's a celestial alignment. But the codes are already there in the library. So you can go in and get codes from before and codes that are available now, but only the codes that are available for you,
Okay.
right? So you can't go in there and say, give me the codes to do
Everything.
something that, yeah, it's not in alignment with you, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, okay. Big burning question. How does one not under your guidance enter the Library of Creation?
They wait till February. Let me explain. I'll be at the Conscious Life Expo in February, release in Library Creation
Okay.
tool, right? And then in there, we'll show everyone how to get
How
access to
to
it.
enter. Okay.
Yeah.
So then once people know how to enter, how do I guess you're going to be guided by your own intuition, your own
You ask a
team.
question.
Oh, you ask a question.
That's it. Show me the energy interference I picked up at the grocery store today. And it'll show a visual and these little color splotches on your body, and you reach in and you just grab it. It's a working visualization.
Okay, so when you say like you grab it,
It's a
are you,
visualization.
so yeah, so like through the visualization, you're grabbing the codes?
No. So show me the energy interference that I picked up today at the concert, right?
Yeah.
Show this to me as color splotches in my energy field.
Okay.
Then you can use your imagination, right? Our imagination is very, very real. And you can take a vacuum and start sucking out those energy, and you can feel your energy field shift as you're doing it. You are now interacting with your field.
Okay. So your team might need to come in for this one,
Mm-hmm.
but or maybe not. But so my next question then is what I've noticed I'm doing is when I'm in ceremony and guiding people through their own journeys, whether
Mm-hmm.
group or single, one of the things that I started doing that I've never done before was started pulling energy through my womb and bringing it into the room and
Mm-hmm.
working with it. So was the I from what I understand is that the womb is a great portal for
Mm-hmm.
energy. And so I don't know if it's because I've done a lot of work with the womb and that's why that was just, for instance, for me, that's how I was meant to work with it. But I was also pulling energy through the fire. There was a fire in the room ceremony, and the fire was speaking to me, and I was also utilizing the energy of the fire. And it's like almost like creating concoction of energy. I don't know how else to describe it, but I, of course, had no idea exactly what I was doing. I just knew it was doing, I just was
Mm-hmm.
following my hands move and do all the work. Sometimes I had to add tones, had to create like sound like drums or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
so is there anything that your guides could share about that process?
One, it wasn't your energy. Okay. And while you were using the womb, it was actually coming through your solar plexus. They had opened up channels in your solar plexus, all that energy to come through. Now, the other energy in the fire was the elemental energy that was being shown up through that. So you were basically moving those fields around and for those people, right? You were comfortable with the womb because that's something you do. So spirit will allow us to visualize or feel. And it doesn't mean it was wrong. It was still coming through, but it wasn't your energy. It
Hmm.
was it was pumped through your solar
Oh yeah, no,
plexus.
it did not feel like my energy.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And,
But I
and
felt
it's
like I was
beautiful. Yeah.
pulling it through me,
Yes,
like
yes.
as like I don't know, a
You became a
channel.
hollow bone, is what they're
Yes.
telling me at that moment.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, because it was very big and strong and
Hmm. Yeah,
hadn't
you
noticed.
completely stepped out.
Yeah, okay.
Hmm.
Oh, interesting. So
Beautiful.
um so then when it comes, well, you know what? Hold on a second here.
Sure.
Why don't we do a transmission? Why don't
Okay.
I let you do your transmission? Because you said that you would like to offer
Yeah.
that to, and we're kind of coming up to the hour, so I don't want to
Mm.
go. I want to respect your time and everything. So, why don't I don't know? Does that feel good?
Oh yeah. No, no, it feels delicious. So,
Okay.
so here's the deal. First of all, for the audience that hasn't heard light language before, there's going to be a little bit of a giggle factor for a moment, right? For those that you have heard light language, you'll understand. So just check your emotions, check your mental, physical state, whatever this is, and then you're going to hear different tones coming out of me, and those are the differences that are coming through for your audience, even on replays and over. So, you ready? Noria malere yare di shiro ba koro pa kori to keni to keni kishine di yare ortari ortori ni kunish gere malera malero kari ndo kuchia shalama aleri auri chokun boro oku shenori abapia kel melero kusho notori no aleri a shiro to rishikiri tikiri ne shikadori konari ando tishenata kori ari shiro to kere malia ai shili riaro to ramari ritiri tiki Shalama malero toria kuli en mi lielo kuni an la malaria to shakariero shakara malaria to karmaleti shalama rot kara shikidu kurushko to karmani and kedoshki to karina bakira ma odiama in idishinidia mushuko to karpati kuchkiti karpati to karma aleria Ayama to Korea no sha aulo toria o kori shiti kura to Korea da kamayakia. Aisha na area akina shini okuno to sheta. Shokutuki bora chikoro kapati to kanapa kitu chikaro to American akini chikin to Korea. Nan malerka au kori to onepa anato ni ko akolama au kori roka chikara to correct chikit ko para malera alero malero toria makidi dia. Tidu chikutu kana roka chikutu chikidu chikit baki kiri chikidin aku okori to Cool.
Wow. Wow.
Like, what was that,
Wow.
right?
That was intense. Um, do you feel that anywhere in your body when you kind of it stops or anything? No?
I don't receive, right? In fact, my empathic stuff is turned off, so I can go into a store and not feel anybody. But
Yeah.
the moment I connect to somebody, I'm fully connected. And in fact, if you start saying, "Hey, tell me about my brother," I'm instantly connected to them. So kind of connected to everything, but only in the moment as needed.
Mm.
And because it's the hollow bone, I don't know what you received
And
or
it'll be
anybody
different
else in
for
the audience.
everyone?
Every single person will
Hmm.
be different.
Well, I'll share what I felt at least. For me, I felt first a big heart activation opening, like it was just a lot of more expansion pressure, a little bit of a swirling energy, and then all of a sudden it was in my head, in my third eye, and it was just really intense. And I was like, oh my gosh. And while this was all happening, I got a sense, and I might be wrong, but I got a sense that there was some sort of bridging between the third eye and heart. But I saw so many different sacred geometric patterns and then swirling vortexes um, that I don't know if they were falling within them or what, but that was interesting.
Right. Yeah. And that was only a minute or so? So imagine spending an hour with me or a half hour, right?
It was an hour compressed into 1 minute.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of keep it short for the audience, right?
yeah,
Just to give them an experience.
yeah.
But yeah, you'll if you go back and you start feeling, maybe not you, but you start feeling your body, you'll be like, what happened to that discomfort? Or why did my emotions just all of a sudden calm down? Or
Hmm.
again, activations take place. So
Hmm.
all of the check boxes can happen for anybody at any time.
So, okay, here's a question, kind of more human.
Mhm.
So, how is your relationship with your daughter making this big shift
Beautiful.
change?
Now that they didn't touch. So she's 19. She
Okay.
kind of understands dad a little. She doesn't quite, she's still, fully into 3D, right? But she's coming around to fully supportive, right?
Okay.
But she also doesn't understand. She
Yeah.
doesn't have a spiritual upbringing, right?
Uh-huh.
Or
Yeah.
background or any of those things. All she
Mhm.
knows is dad sits at home, does computer stuff
Okay.
previously, and now dad sits at home and does spiritual stuff. So it's about the extent of her understanding.
And if you don't mind me asking, how quickly did you realize that your ex-wife was not meant to be on your path going forward? Like that wasn't going to be part of your path. Like when did you know and how fast did the transition happen for you?
So there was always an inner concern from the 3D aspect, like, okay, I'm that go through these massive shifts and then everything in their lives begin changing, right? And
Hmm.
I told my team, don't mess with my money. I did well. And don't mess with my relationships. They did both, right? But I didn't know it was going to happen until the
Don't
higher
ever
self
tell
stepped in.
them what to do.
Correct. That's correct. Now, I mean, life is wonderful. I love what I do, and life has shown up in ways I could never, ever, ever imagined, right?
Mhm.
But to answer your question, within 3 weeks of the higher self stepping in, it was compulsory. I have to leave. I have to leave everything. So they call it a 2-year life reset, and I'm literally at the end of the 2-year life reset, well, in a week or two.
Wow. And so was it like, are you still in contact with her or does she
Yeah,
understand what
yeah.
happened?
Well, I mean,
I mean, because you have a shared
heartbroken.
daughter.
Yeah, yeah, heartbroken, right? And it was the easiest, separation divorce possible. Like, I love you. I have to go. I don't have a choice. I know you don't understand. You can have everything. I don't need anything. And I mean, it's not that I'm paying her off. Don't look at it
Hmm.
like that. But there's a huge part of me that has to still show up and support her. And I don't mean financially, but support her in her journey the best I can from a distance.
Yeah,
Right. But
sure.
even during that process, it's like, whatever you need, I'm here to help you, but I can't be there anymore. I'm shifting. I'm not who I used to be.
Oh, wow. And friendships?
Gone.
All friendships?
Oh, they're all new ones that came in.
Yeah.
Everything in my life has gone from whatever vibrational level that was to something very, 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 very different. And in fact, there's very few people that I can connect with that understand at any capacity what's taking place within me and what happens to the people that show up.
Now, what was the necessity of your work prior to your awakening in preparation for the work that you do now?
So that's a fantastic question. I have served millions and millions of people in my businesses. I
Hmm.
know how to create businesses where 1 hour can serve a million people. Whereas typically, run a business, you work for an hour, you get paid for an hour.
Hmm.
My job is worldwide global. You don't get these many things happening to you unless your mission is epic. Now, we all have big missions. Please don't take that as the wrong way. But I am here for millions and millions and millions and millions of people. And I know how to do that from a business perspective to ensure I can reach everybody in whatever, whether they need free or whether they need high touch. I'm able to do
Hmm.
that whole span. So I have a catalog on my website of 300 different things. You can go there to get activations, to go there to get healings in different parts of the body, right? Distant healing. I've got my Wednesday night events, my big events. I've got my in-person events in April. So I'm able to do that full spectrum, but I'm able to do it and reach all these people without burning myself out. So yeah, they taught me how to do business like that.
They taught you.
Well, you got to imagine they've been so. I'm not. This is what I've done since my inception.
Hmm.
Right? I always show up at the time a planet or a species is going through their evolution, and I'm a catalyst for that. So this is my job. It's what I've always done. I
Okay.
didn't know that, so I'm not chosen. It's not like I rehearsed. I don't have any practices. I'm like this. This is normal.
Okay.
I actually thought everyone did this.
And so, okay, so then this 30-year window that we're
Mhm.
in, is that something that was taking place when Atlantis was born and is now happening again? Or is this a 30-year window that is happening for the first time on Earth?
It's very, very different than the idea that we're going up and not going down. The 30-year window is a compressed cycle because of what needs to take place. The human itself has been delayed in the process. The delay is now lifted, and the acceleration is taking place in a very, very rapid form. This is why you see so much turmoil across the planet right now, because all the old systems are breaking so the new systems can come in. This is one of the new systems that are coming in. I hope
Hmm.
that made sense. So, yeah.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's an accelerated ascension of this our species,
Okay.
moving us into who we are, and they're like there'll be another one after that as well, another 100 years later
Oh,
or
there'll
so.
be a second window.
A, a
So if
second
you're
a
not if
second
you're not in,
compression.
well, I guess 100 years
No,
later, I don't
yeah,
know if
no,
you'd still
probably
be
not for us, but
yeah.
so it's staged. Imagine us going through our own evolution, right? And everyone
Okay.
coming on board, all the star seeds coming on board, all the ones
Yeah.
being born, right? And then they get to go through yet another ascension process, which I didn't know until just now, by the way.
Oh, so they're going to go through it in a completely new
And
ascension
yeah,
process.
another yeah, right. It's like it's stepped. I did not know that till just now.
Oh, can we get any details of that second ascension
They're like
process?
they're like deal with the one right now. Yeah, right. So they don't
Well,
like to they
now
don't
let
like
me
to do
ask
that too
this.
much. Yeah.
Would it be anyone who's here and then comes back and is going to go through that again? Or is it
Oh yeah, they're gonna ride the roller coaster.
okay.
So my team's funny because I have a humor bone. So they show up in a way that's funny. They really like to use humor in everything they're doing to shift the energetic fields that
No,
are
I love
happening.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So they enjoy the roller coaster ride. So yeah.
Okay. So you can go through two human activation windows, uh,
But different
but
lifetimes.
different
Yeah.
lifetimes.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. Would you be, if you're coming in, are you already coming in with the activations that you received in this lifetime? Are they somewhat still activated, or are some of them dormant and then going to be reactivated at some point, and then you get new ones? Sorry, this is just
Yeah,
my
yeah,
human
yeah.
mind.
They're like you're confusing the idea of the human with the soul, right? The soul's getting activated as well, but it's really
Yeah.
the human, the vessel, the human that's being upgraded. The soul's already there,
Okay.
right?
So So then it's kind of like just
The
going on
soul
the
gets
roller
to
coaster for a
experience.
second
The
time.
soul gets to experience another evolution of a species,
Okay, I
and
got
then they
you.
can go somewhere else and do another one if they so choose.
Got you. All right.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. Well, how fascinating. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation, Ken.
Yeah.
I loved
Yeah.
having you on the show.
Thanks. This has been fun. These are great questions, by the way.
Yeah, no, well,
I
I mean,
learned
I'm
something
intrigued.
myself.
Well, it's, doing this podcast for 8 years, sometimes you get the same kind of conversation topics coming through, which is fine.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have new listeners coming in for the first time. They haven't listened to prior episodes, but for me personally, this is really fun because I get to take it to another level that I'm not used to. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm honored to be on here. Thank you so much for allowing it.
Yeah, so let my audience know. Again, I'm going to leave all of the links, but for you, please let them know what's happening. Obviously, you're speaking at the Conscious Life Expo in February, so please share everything that you need to.
So I will actually be in Orange County on December 7th in Costa Mesa, I think you pronounce it, for a one-day thing. Like I normally don't do those events, but then obviously in the LA Conscious Life Expo. But my social media is Lloyd.official. I'm always dropping codes. Like every day I'm doing reels. You get free stuff all day long. Now, one of the things about me is no matter what I'm speaking about with the light language and topic, you're getting what you need. So whatever that is. But yeah, kenlloydofficial.com. I've got events all, during the week. I've got my distant healing. Again, I've got, so if you go to kenlloydofficial.com/free, there's free gifts there for you as well. So clearings and all these wonderful things. So
Wonderful.
I serve everyone from I can't do it to, again, the high touch stuff.
Lovely. So I will say if you're ever in the Colorado area again, you definitely got to let me
I
know.
will.
But thank you so much for coming on the show. It's wonderful to have you here. And to my audience, I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. I'm sure you did. And so definitely check out everything that Ken has to offer. I'm going to leave all the links for you below. And also don't forget the 3-day 180 retreat is also in February at the end of February 26th. So if you are considering coming, there's a couple tickets left as of recording this. So when this releases, hopefully, if you still want to come and there's tickets there, I would definitely implore you to come for a very life-changing experience. Guys, I love you. Have an incredible week, and I'll be back with you next time. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, nicolefrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.